Life is fun when we are invited to events, weddings, parties. We wear wonderful clothes. We enjoy company of people, wonderful food, drink, and partying. Unfortunately, we have not seen any of that for past 3 months at least, and we don't know when we are likely to see that soon. And the question is, are we going to see all that soon? And if we do, is it going to be the same as it used to be before? And if the pricing, if the grandness of these events is going to be similar to what it used to be, so how the event and wedding industry is going to change? We will try to find answers to all these questions this evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vineet, Johri, and I'm delighted to introduce my guest for today's show, Jonathan Ian Waterman, who is an award-winning wedding and events Toastmaster, a well-known coordinator, a planner, a consultant, sales and marketing trainer, a booking agent, and a lot more, actually. So let me invite Jonathan. Good evening, Jonathan.
Yeah, let me just find you. Yes, and a very good evening to you, Vineet. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Before we start the program, can we have a 1 minute silence in the memory of those who have lost their lives due to COVID-19? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, so how are you, Jonathan?
I'm very, very well, thank you. Weather not so great today, but other than that, I'm absolutely fine, thank you. And how are you? How's your family and you?
Everybody good, thank you very much. Right, let's start with, we know a lot about you. I know personally a lot about you, but I think it's worth, if I can ask you this question, can you please tell us a bit more about yourself to the viewers?
Certainly. Thank you for asking that question. So in answer to that, I like to work very, very closely with all my clients in various different capacities. It's a very, very, very bespoke service I provide, personalised according to the customer's wishes. So whether you put me as a wedding toastmaster, a coordinator, a planner, a celebrant, an auctioneer, quizmaster, or any other, I'm there to work closely with you to find your solution and to offer you lots and lots of value to make sure that your experience will be stress-free and one to remember for a lifetime.
Okay. And how long have you been in the industry, and what kind of services do you offer to the clients, and who are your main clients, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been in the industry now for coming up to around the 10-year mark. I mean, basically, clients-wise, it can vary. I mean, it's a lot of different kind of clients. I mean, first of all, let's look at the wedding side first and foremost, where I'm specialised in every persuasion of wedding, every race, religion, which I've been starting from English weddings, civil ceremonies, Asian and Indian weddings, Jewish, Arabic, Muslim, Afro-Caribbean, literally every type. And as well on the corporate side, I'm very, very well acquainted with every type of award ceremony, gala dinner, product launch. So literally, I'm very, very, very open to anything, to everything, really.
Okay, well, fair enough. Good. Well, I have worked with you on many corporate events, actually.
Yes.
It was a wonderful chance to know more about you, and maybe tell us a bit more detail the type of weddings and events you have participated in, and is there any particular market you would like to have more exposure into?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, I've been fortunate enough to work with a whole range of different clients, and each and every client is very important to me. You know, as I say, I like to give them all a personalised service. We work closely together. We look at their requirements in detail, And as I say, no group is any different. I work with them. We do the schedule. I do the fine tuning with them. And on the day, actually do the announcing, keeping it running, working full of teamwork with all the other suppliers, and also a lot of fun as well. A lot of fun touches I bring, and it's all about offering clients that experience that they're looking for. Right. I mean, basically, how else can I enhance on that? It's a passion I've always had. To I'm very, very much a people's person, and I'm working with people I thrive upon, really, and I'm working with all the fellow wedding industry members, those within the industry. We all work together as a team and support each other when necessary, and hopefully at the end of each function we get the chance to kind of blog about each other, put links on, make some mentions on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, just so we all get that much exposure. Everyone gets the amount of exposure from the event, really.
Right. Okay. And what is your understanding on which way the wedding or events industry is heading? I mean, the way things have been for past 3 months, we hardly have seen any event or wedding happening. So what is your understanding on which way we are heading? What is the future of this industry?
Well, it's, at the moment unfortunately, we're very, very, very stuck and bound by the government. We can only have, they're saying small gatherings up to 6 people. And I think, as far as I'm aware, they're actually looking at potentially putting up to 10 people, maybe soon 4 weddings, that type of thing. But however, the social distancing laws are very, very much, inscribed into law. And I, to be honest with you, from the government's point of view, I totally agree, because the last thing we want is second waves and third waves and even fourth waves. We all want to be well, and to do our service to the best of our ability. And my take on it, really, if I have to look further down the line, I would like to see things kick off maybe in October, which I'm being very optimistic here, but probably next year, probably the start of the next year, we'll start seeing some traction. I would like to think, obviously, the big weddings will return by the beginning of next year, where everyone will be very, very, very geared up to go. And I do think, yes, I think there will be changes as well, even when we do get back. And I think there'll be a lot of changes for the best.
True, I agree. And if we want to visualize a wedding, let's say 6 months from now, so imagining a wedding happening sometime probably in January or February, how that wedding would look different to what we see these days, what we used to see before. How would you differentiate between the two?
Well, I think a lot of venues are going to be adapting, obviously, to the way things are going to change. I like to think there won't be hardly any change, but I think there will be. I think the venues will pay more attention to detail as to the numbers of people that will be invited, that will be allowed to come into the wedding, or the corporate event, for example. I think that'll be a massive, massive change. I also think that they'll be a lot stricter in some ways, where everyone who's coming into that venue, no distinction, will need to have insurances and will need to show insurances. I think that a lot of venues have learnt as well that they'll need to ask their clients every time for a copy of the disclosure for their wedding insurance, to make sure they have got wedding insurance very, very quickly after making the booking. I think that's just 3 things, but I think there'll be a lot more things that will be considered. I think we'll see a lot more outdoor weddings, because they basically say that the threat of COVID virus is less outdoors. But and we may see venues utilising their spaces more. So that is yet to see, really. So as per the far future, as I say, there will be changes, and I'm certain the changes will be for the best. And as an industry, we need to move forward together in harmony and work with what we have.
Okay. And what do you think? What is going to happen to destination weddings? I mean, do you think that we are likely to see more destination weddings or less destination weddings? And what is your experience on destination weddings or events, basically?
Yeah, I myself participated in a handful, should have said, both events and weddings. And what with all the restrictions in relation to basically to flights, in relation to social distancing rules in their countries, it's and then you look at the fact about elders potentially, grandparents, maybe elderly parents, elderly relatives, even though the airlines are saying they're going to adapt some kind of social distancing policy, it's still potentially a risk for it still could potentially be a risk for people to fly. And I think a lot of people can have that in their mind. Because not only getting on that plane, it's what's the situation at the airports. Are people going to be tested before they get onto a flight or before they check in? Are people going to be checked at the other end? How long is all this going to go on for? Is there going to be more social distancing at the hotels, at the villas? Is there going to be, a transport providers and decor providers going to feel safe working? It's a lot. There's a lot to do when it comes to destination weddings. There's a lot to do on a wedding here in the UK, but destination weddings, if we look at Spain, Italy, the logistics are very, 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 very different. The whole scenario is run on a different basis, but the social distancing rules still remain the same. And I think the biggest thing that we're going to look at there is basically the flights and getting people to the destinations, and if they're happy to go to these destinations.
And the way I see it, because the number of people are going to be restricted in a wedding, so don't you think people might plan a destination wedding and say, look, we are only 20 of us, instead of having 200, let's go to XYZ destination and do the wedding over there? Could that be?
I think that is something that could happen. I think I've already been listening to people's takes on different forums in relation to possible alternatives. Now, on the destination wedding market, this does actually come up a lot as a very, very, very good alternative where they have got a small amount of people, maybe 10, 15, 20 people, where they'll just fly them out there. They'll get married. They might have a celebrant or an officiant over there, do the formalities, and then they can enjoy the party and make it into a holiday also. That's also a very, very, very big possibility. But the whole idea of people, I suppose, with bigger numbers in the UK or their resident country is that they can invite their friends, they can invite their work colleagues and everybody else. So I suppose it's more of a party, but if it's going to be more sort of intimate, if that's the way that things are going to go, then I think we will see a lot of the smaller destination weddings going down that route.
Yeah, interesting to hear that. And being a leader in the industry, what is your take on how important it is to promote wedding industry related business on social media? And do you promote your business on social media? And if you do, which platforms do you use?
Social media is a very, very, very integral part of any business, and in particular the wedding business. Now, social media, it's platforms such as Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, where you're telling the client, you're giving the client a message. You're giving the client all about your brand, what you're doing, how you can enhance their day, what value you're bringing to the client. And the beauty is with a business page that you have, you can, you're not limited to 5,000 followers. You can keep building and building and building and inviting people, sharing the groups and everything. There's live interviews you can conduct like we're doing now. There's, every social media platform has its pluses and its minuses. Now, first of all, if we look at Facebook, it's very, very, very good for getting your story across both visually and also with text, with the amount of groups you can share into, the exposure is very, very good. Now, a while back, the organic engagement, when Facebook first came out, the organic engagement was terrific, that you could post up and it'll go to a lot more people. Now, you've got to be very, very, very clever on your posts. It's as though you've got to be very, very creative and you've got to give a message, something that's going to actually compound the client to actually click on your link on that post. And it goes the same with Instagram, but with Instagram you can't hyperlink, but it's very, very, very good for visuals, for your story. And again, it's a matter of hashtags, using the right hashtags will get people to following you. And again, you can share your posts on your Facebook, that type of thing. Pinterest is also terrific, where it gives brides, grooms, and wedding event organisers ideas of different colour schemes, different types of decor, different games a Toastmaster can do, different types of transport available. Pinterest is excellent, and LinkedIn is more of a B2B thing, where it does work for business to consume, but also business to business, where you can contact businesses directly. Again, posting, getting your points across to them, what you want to promote. Now, hard selling is never a good thing, because people can actually be put off by the fact if you really hard sell. You need to list your benefits. You need to give them a solution to what they want. It's all about the benefits you can actually provide. That's what social media is there for. You're educating people, to educate people, really.
Right. And do you think this, because of this social media, is more competition now, because people can approach so many vendors at the same time using social media? So by having so much of competition, does it make a difference in terms of pricing that used to be 5-10 years ago to now? What is your understanding?
Yeah, I mean, I'm asked this question by a lot of different people. In fact, it's a funny thing, because when I interviewed a very good friend of yours and mine, Avtar Theti, we often have this type of conversation. We talk about price and about social media. Now, I do believe that the industry would be a better place if it was fully regulated. Now, in terms of regulation, you would have to stick by particular terms, conditions. Everyone would have insurance, and it's like the financial services. There'll be pros and cons, what you can do and what you can't do. But I do think with the industry being not regulated, there's lots of groups on the on social media, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, where people are not insured. They're basically weekend people that do it the odd weekend, and then what they'll basically do is they won't have much of a portfolio to offer either. They won't have the credentials. But the problem you've got is people looking for price. Social media, a lot of people do come on and they're looking for price, and they don't kind of see further. They don't see the further picture. Whereas sometimes you pay something cheap, but it can cost you more. People need to sort of delve into the quality more of a supplier. They need to look at their credentials. They need to look at their website. They need to look at venue reviews. They need to look at client reviews, industry professional reviews. There's so much you can actually look at, but the most important thing is people buy into people anyway. I mean, for example, somebody on social media who is cheap, that person, the client might buy into that person, but on the other end, that person may not have the credentials to back up the service they're providing on what they're trying to market. So it can be very, very, very difficult. And it has used a term called cowboys. Cowboys that literally will come on. They'll literally charge nothing to the client, and they'll do a terrible job on the day. They just won't have any cares. They just will not care about what they're doing, and it'll affect the client's. It'll affect the client's thoughts. Not so much the client's thoughts. It'll give a lot of negative feedback. Generally, not negativity from the client. But for example, if that client has purchased a photographer hired a photographer off social media, that photographer's got very little portfolio, very little credentials, no reviews, nothing. All they've got is a name with a few lines, just holding a camera. And that's what the client has booked. Then okay, you can blame it on the client for doing that, but sometimes the client do need to be more educated. But it can, however, reflect on the business in general, thinking, hold on a minute, this photographer can do this and this and this at this price. Why can't we all have it at this sort of price? And people are just blinded that, some photographers are just the same, for example, but they're not. Every photographer's got a different style. Every photographer's got different credentials, different portfolio. So my advice is do not please base your decisions on price, base it on quality, base it on the value you're going to get from that photographer and the quality they're going to provide to you.
True, very true. Well, having said that, I mean, most of the clients, they don't know. I mean, let's say a client approaches Mr. X, who has got a reasonable website, not a wonderful website, and he's offering a very decent price, very good price for a job.
Yeah.
Now, this client does not know the difference between this Mr. X and a professional photographer or another supplier. He doesn't know until his wedding is over.
Yeah.
And by the time it's over, it's too late. So how these clients can actually protect themselves from going into these sort of traps where they have a fancy website and a very tempting price?
Right.
How to protect themselves?
Right. My personal view on this is, I've got a few views on this problem. Now, the problem is basically, I believe you need to show the client's evidence of case studies on your website. If you've got so-and-so say charging 1,000 and so-and-so say charging 500, now that person charging 500 may have no credentials, the one charging 1,000 may. So what I would suggest is build up your testimonials, build up both your video reviews, build up your reviews from clients, and build up your industry reviews from people in the industry. Because and maybe even a video review as well from from a client will go down well. Now, if clients can see your case studies, and if they're a good client, they value your service, it'll value you for what you do. Then they'll pay. Okay, they've got to like you. Say if it's a photographer, they've got to like your pictures, they've got to like your style, they've got to like you as a person. But however, if it's looking at website for website, and one supplier is cheaper than the other, then you've got to look at you've got to look at it why, and the reason is it could be they just want to be cheap and they're going for volume, or it could be you know what, this person's more expensive. They've got the reviews, they've got the testimonials, they've got venue reviews, they've got everything, and it's those credentials. They've built up a strong brand, and they've got a following, and that brand, people know who they are. So it's a difficult one. But at the end of the day, I know I would feel safer generally if I saw if I was looking and I saw reviews on a website, I saw venue reviews, I saw video reviews, that would make me feel more secure to go for someone who's, someone maybe a bit more expensive than someone who's cheaper, because you know what you're going to get because you've got the case studies from previous people.
True, very true, very true. From your experience, I mean, if let's say so many of suppliers, not everybody is social media friendly, if I may say that. They're not really technology freaks, and they are a little scared of having their accounts on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and whatever else. So if they have to choose between out of 10 or 12 different social media, just 2 or 3, which ones would you recommend?
Well, I mean, if you've got a choice of 3, depending on what business you're in. Now, on what industry, what type, within the wedding industry or events industry, it can vary because some are more effective than others. Now, I would personally recommend, I basically think Pinterest is very good. Now, I think Pinterest is very good because it's not swamped with suppliers. It's different suppliers put ideas on, and they're very relevant ideas about the color schemes, about decor, about different types of photos they've taken from different angles. And they might have shared a pre-shoot of a client in London, what they can do, that type of thing.
Sure.
And people on Pinterest, the reach is very, very, very good. So people do look at that, and then what they'll do is they'll take that pin that they've seen your pin, and they'll put it on and they'll save it onto their own profile. So I think that could be effective. I think Facebook is very, very standard. I think Facebook is very, very, very good. Facebook's very, very easy to use. You post. I believe you have to think about your post, like I said. You've got to try. You can open up business groups. For example, you've got JP his name's John Paul. You can start a group called JP Photography, and then you can invite all your friends over to that group. And you post relevant posts in that group, relevant posts where your viewers want what they want to see. They want to see your work and they want to see the value that you're giving. You know, the value that you can give within their work. And then you can post your reviews, you can post your testimonials. There's so much you can do. You can even post about, you know, the type of camera you're using, you know, why I shot from this camera, why I shot from that camera. So there's so many different ways you can do to try, you know, obviously to feed the customer, to try and get them to buy from you. So I do think that. And I like the idea as well, personally. I like the idea of Instagram. Would be my third one. Instagram takes it's very, 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 very visual. You put your photo up. You can put all your hashtags in. You get a choice of a personal account, a business account, you know, and the features on it are terrific because you can actually build up your own story. You can share your story. You can share other people's stories. It's something which I believe is very, very innovative. And it's very, very visual. And people these days want to see visual. They want to see photos. They want to see videos. And I believe Instagram is actually that. Facebook is that. Don't get me wrong, but Instagram is more and more geared towards your photographer, towards your photos, towards seeing videos, and people can get an idea of your brand, you know, by posting on Instagram, seeing the kind of person you are and what your style is.
Right. Okay. Well, fair enough. Yeah. So Pinterest and Facebook and Instagram are the main three you are suggesting. Of course, people have to know their business, which business they are in, and then they can choose accordingly, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, it's about their business they're in. You know, I think in the wedding and events business, I think Facebook and Instagram is good for certain capacities within the industry. I think, as I say, I think Pinterest is terrific, but it doesn't work for everybody. I think you'll get comfortable, you know, when you play around with the relevant social media platforms, what you feel more comfortable with, you know, and there's plenty of tutorials as well online, both you know, on Google, on YouTube, even on Facebook, and people will show you how to use it. It's a, you know, social media is a fine thing now. It's like having your own channel, really. It's like YouTube as well. If I bring YouTube into it, you know, you can load up your videos, you can share it to the world. True. You know, it's also another very, very good for videos. Social media is basically your own channel.
Yeah. Well, my next question is actually $1 million question.
Yeah.
You ready for that one?
I'm ready for it.
Well, for last, I think, 15 to 20 days, I was in conversation with clients, with the other photographers, videographers, and I think everybody is talking about if the prices for wedding supplier is likely to increase or decrease. What is your take on that? I mean, the way I see it, we hardly had any wedding. Well, we had no wedding in April, May, June. And probably in July either. I don't know if there will be weddings in July. Might be few. And all these weddings are being shifted to either next year or sometime in future. So number of weddings is likely to go up in 2021 if things go better, of course, if this coronavirus thing ends. And so chances are we will have more weddings, and number of photographers are still the same or actually less. So what's your take on this, or suppliers, I would say, not just photographers?
Right.
Yeah. What's your take on that?
From a supplier's point of view, you know, as a Toastmaster and coordinator, I can take the same kind of, I can take the same as a photographer, because we're all suppliers, we're all together, you know, we're all servicing our clients. Now, for me personally, I'm keeping my price the same as they are. But I'm hearing a lot that clients are putting their price up for next year because people have postponed, and they may be less quantity, so to speak, for people to choose from. So people feel that they can actually, gain more money from the client. Now, I personally feel everybody to their own. I think if people feel they want to put their prices up because of the losses they've made this year, for example, then yes, that's fair play. That's one of their strategies. They're going to put their price up, and they're going to see how things materialise from there. Now, but they might be well justified to do that because, as I say, like I said before, it's the branding that talks. The branding is your product. People might want that person no matter what. That they know them, they know the brand, they know exactly what they're going to get, they know the value they're going to get. So people may think, hold on a minute, this guy's £1,000 more than last year, and they may think, hold on, he's done a fantastic job, he's got the credentials, we all know him, friends have had him, we'll book him. But then on the other hand, you're going to get the clients that think, hold on a minute, why are these people putting their prices up? But then it's a very, very, very difficult one because, some people may work on volume and they might work on, doing a very cheap price and get as many people in as they can. But at the end of the day, it's, I think it comes down to each to their own, really, each to their own supplier, what they decide to do, how they're going to take their strategies forward. And as I say, it is a matter of getting your message across. The important thing is on this as well as a marketing message. What kind of people are you attracting? Whether you're attracting high end, top end, bottom end, middle of the road. So these people that put their price up £1,000 may think, hold on a minute, I'm top end and I've got the messages and everyone knows me. I'm putting the right messages across. Or somebody might want to go from middle end to top end, but they may think, hold on, they may think they can do it, but their marketing messages and their credentials are not there. So it's a very, very interesting, it's a very delicate situation. So I think people need to sit back, take a step back before just saying to yourself, before they say to themselves, photographers, videographers, Toastmasters, whatever, am I justified to put my prices up? I think they need to take a step back and they need to think before they action.
True, very true. Well, the economics works on supply and demand proportions. I mean, if the supply is less and demand is more, the price is likely to go up. I mean, as I said earlier, there are more weddings expected in 2021 than, of course, 2020. There's hardly any wedding happening at the moment. And when there is more weddings, of course, more suppliers are needed. And number of suppliers are still same in the market, or maybe less actually, because so many of suppliers are already booked for 2021, so they can't take two jobs at the same time. So I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know how it will make it an impact on the market, but as you said, it's personal choice how people see it. It's very rightly said that everybody is their own boss and they decide whether their branding is worth increasing the price or not. And that leads me to my next question, actually. What is your take on price versus quality?
Yeah, I mean, my take personally on prices, I like to sell what I feel that I'm worth. I have the messages on my website. I personally, you've asked me about me personally. I feel I've got the credentials from venues, from industry professionals, from clients. Obviously, there's case studies which will give them a peace of mind. And I like to offer the clients a personalised experience. That's my motto. And I feel my prices are in line with the services that I offer. I often get asked by clients, can you drive the price down to this? Can the competition does this? The competition does that. Then I say to them to compare the profiles. Has the competition got case studies? Has the competition, been endorsed by this one? Has the competition been endorsed by that one? Has the competition, can I offer you value, in doing this? Can I offer you value in doing that? Are they going to bring this to the party? Are they going to bring that to the party? There's a whole lot of things to try and justify it. But at the end of the day, some clients are very, 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 very budget and price orientated. And as much as you try to pull them around to your way of thinking, you're going to, sometimes it's in vain. And I sometimes feel with those type of clients who don't value services, who don't want to pay, who are on very, very strict budgets, who haven't got the money, for example, you say to yourself, look, feel free. So, thank you for contacting me, but my service, obviously, we haven't got any synergy here. My price is a bit too much. It's not working for you, and I wish you well. If I could be of further assistance, please do not hesitate to contact me.
True, very true. And I mean, for past 3 months, I don't think we were neither myself also. We were all free. We were not doing anything outside. So how COVID-19 has affected your business? I mean, what impact it has caused on your business, and what are your thoughts on wedding and events insurances?
Right. Well, first of all, COVID-19 had a massive impact for me. You know, I try and work with every single client that I've got. You know, I've been in touch with them. I try and work with them. I offer postponements, which is in line with everybody else in the venue. You know, I say to them, I'm happy to postpone as long as you need me to postpone for. Now, we're in relation to people cancelling. I would like to think that generally the first port of call on some occasions may be the venue. And I would like to think that the venue may have, the wedding planner at the venue, for example, may have mentioned about insurance and the relevance of it to the client. Now, that's whether it covers COVID-19 or not. But all I can say is 6 months ago, there were insurances that out there that some companies were given indemnity for. Some of the insurance companies were given the indemnity for the COVID-19, while others were not. But the beauty of the insurance was to make sure that there could have been a death in the family. There, you know, for another cause, there could have been a venue closing down. There could be a supplier going into liquidation. There could be so many things. For me, it's like buying a car. You know, the expense in a wedding or event is huge, and I feel you need to have that cover. You know, as a benchmark, and that cover to protect you. You know, and literally, and I feel the venues, as I said previously in the conversation to you, need to take a signed disclosure off of every single client, every single person who's booked, stating that I've got insurance, and maybe even give them a copy of that insurance. That should be done no later than a week after the booking's been made. Personally, that's my view.
Yeah.
As for COVID-19, just continuing there a bit more for you, I think, in effect, a lot of the weddings and events I've got have been cancelled, have been postponed till next year. I have had my, I've had my cancellations where I've been fair with the clients, but it's made me look at my contracts even more. This is the important thing. What I've learned from this as well is to make sure my contract is more extensive, and you know, it's got more points in it in relation now to pandemics, in relation to postponements. All different things that's going to cover you in the long run. So, you know, I think as long as we learn something out of it and you know how we can improve our service as well, I think that's a good thing, and we should also take something out of that.
Right. Okay. And before we move on to the question answers, I mean, I've got some questions lined up already, so yeah. I'm going to bring them on in a minute, and I'll ask my viewers to please send more questions if they have any. Yeah. I'll ask you something on a very light note. What kind of weddings or events are your favorite ones, and why? I like every type of event. I've officiated, I've worked, I've coordinated, planned, been a celebrant of many types of weddings, whether that be English civil, Afro-Caribbean, Asian, Indian, Jewish, you know, Arabic. They've all got their challenges. They've all got their pros and cons. But there's not really one wedding that stands out for me. I suppose I can look at it from my ideal client point of view. Your ideal client is somebody who pays the money you ask, who loves the value you're giving them, you know, has total respect for you, what you're doing, and will say a big thank you to you at the end of the day. That could be any type of any type of wedding, but yeah, I've got no kind of preference to what I like. It's all about who you're working with. You know, it's a teamwork. It's a teamwork as well that makes the wedding, in order to give the client, the bride and groom, or the events person, the person that's organised the event, you know, that special service. So you're going to be remembered. It's all about being unique. Right. Okay. Well, let me take a few questions. I've got a question from Sona Madan, and she's saying, "What's your advice to the couples that are just starting to plan their weddings?" Okay. Well, what I was doing, it's all about research. There's there's plenty of research tools
on the website. However, lots of some of the advice I give is obviously work out what your budgets are. That's very, 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 very important. But the important thing is try not to cut corners on anything when you're looking at suppliers, because you cut corners, you might get something cheap, but at the end of the day, it'll make sure that you may pay more in the long run. That's the important thing. Advice-wise, I would give to people just to start out, have a good look around, go to venues, have a look to see if you feel comfortable. Some venues as well, they have, if you look at Venue Insider, they actually have, you can actually have a virtual 360 tour of the venue, which is just the same as going to the venue. I would say look at the supplier's credentials, look at their venue reviews, look at their client reviews, look at their industry reviews, look at their marketing messages, and look at their style. See if you like them. You'll get an idea from their website, from their social media, the type of person that they are. And then once you've decided on that, send them an email, see how you get on, and then maybe have a Skype or a Zoom with them to take things forward. That's the initial thoughts I would actually give.
Right. And as a client, I mean, what do you think a client should look when they go to a venue or a vendor, or what should be the positive? What should they be looking for in a venue, especially?
Right. Now, first of all, with a supplier, people buy people. And I could say the same about the venues. People, if that client likes the person they're dealing with, that's half the battle done. That's half the battle done. And then it comes down to, obviously, are they happy with you? Are they happy to pay the price? Do they like your products? That type of thing. With venues, it's I do agree, look, you might have the nicest venue in the world. However, on the downside to that is you might not like the person that you're dealing with. You might not find that their service is hands-on, as much hands-on as you would like. You might not have a connection with that person, So don't go for say, for example, if you're looking, say, you've got in your mind, for example, okay, Natural History Museum, because it's fantastic, it's grand, whatever. But you might get there and you might think, hold on a minute, the people that are the operations team or whoever else, the management team, you might not get on with, you might have any synergy with them. So it's a matter of weighing up absolutely everything before you make that decision. So in a venue, you make sure you check the reviews, you check previous case studies, reviews from clients, you check reviews from vendors, you make sure that you like the person that you're dealing with, and what can they give you? What value are they offering you? That's an important thing. So, I mean, for example, you've got the Mercure in Maidstone, shall we say. It's a big venue. That's in Maidstone in Kent. Now, they're right near to Leeds Castle. Now, one thing, for example, which they could do is they've got Leeds Castle over the road. They could put on their marketing to make it powerful. Should you decide that if you want to proceed with our venue to book for your day, then we will pay for your VIP tour. We'll organise the taxis. We'll take on a VIP tour round Leeds Castle. They'll organise it with the people at Leeds Castle, and they'll have tea and coffee there. Yep. That type of thing. So you've got to be able to offer them some kind of value. Why they're going to book with you. For example, they might offer them a free, a spa day the night before. That's that type of thing. There might be a special table. There might be dinner for the bride and groom, a special dinner together for the bride and groom. There might be a special dinner with a family that the hotel or the venue have paid for. It's all these different things they've got to consider, and they've got to make sure and weigh it up to make sure that it is right. It's that attitude of that person or that venue or that supplier that can say where a client can say yay or nay. It's that attitude that can, what people don't like, and this happens a lot. Yep. They love the product, they like the venue, but hold on a minute, the person they're dealing with, they were very unhelpful. They were very, very quick, then they couldn't wait to get me out of the door. And they had no action plan to follow me up. It was as though it's a number. I was a number, and an action plan is always good for a venue that's interested and pays attention to you, and you're getting on well with them. Even if the client doesn't say yes straight away, the venue should give an action plan. Like, shall I call you back in a few days? Can we have a Skype in a few days just to see if they're okay? You know, and that leaves a very good taste in the client's mouth.
Yeah, very, very important point you have raised, actually, and I can share my experience on that. And when we shoot weddings in different venues, a small, big, whatever size venue, and if the staff there is helpful, then we enjoy shooting the wedding. We are so happy, and the outcome reflects on this thing. Actually, we can see the difference in the quality of the outcome depending on cooperation from the venue people. If they are cooperative, then we enjoy working, and then I think we get a better product at the end. So I strongly agree with what you said. That's so nice of you to share.
I mean, it goes backwards and forwards. I mean, for me, at a venue, it's on the day of the venue. It's you know, when the event is happening, and prior, the service needs to be uniform right from beginning to the end, starting from the person the salesperson that takes the booking, all the way through to the operations staff, the banqueting staff. You know, literally on the day when guests are arriving, you know, when suppliers arrive and they're setting up, they should be offering them a cup of coffee, welcoming them. You know, so much I can go into. You know, a nice touch, for example, is when a bride and groom go to a venue and have a look around, and the manager, the sales manager, say of that department, of the, you know, the weddings department, will literally come out and say, hello, how are you doing? Lovely to welcome you to the venue. That is such a nice touch, and that makes you feel better.
True. All right, let's take another question. I've got a question from Gold Rain Events saying, what can the new events businesses do to help themselves during this crisis?
So can you repeat that, sir? I didn't hear you. The line went dead.
What can the new events businesses do to help themselves during this crisis? So the new businesses, how they can help themselves.
I think for a new events business, I think they need to. It's a very, very, very good time. And a very good evening to your Gold Rain Events. It's a very, very, very good time for you to basically look at your marketing. Look at your marketing. Look at your, you know, look at how you're branding yourself, which is important. Get yourself out on all the social media channels, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Share your blogs. Write blogs. Share your blogs. You know, look, there's so many courses as well on sales and on marketing online as well. Learn about them. You know, really, really learn about it. Get yourself ahead of the competition, because there's so many hints and tips that these people will provide that, you know, and we've got the time to do it. So, you know, don't take this time as a holiday. Take this time as a learning pattern. You know, there's so much you can really do. But I can say, can they help themselves during the crisis? I mean, look, I hate to say that it's very, very, very difficult for all and everyone, whether they're new or whether they're, you know, whether they're established. But, you know, it's a matter of sitting on the fence like everyone else. But it's a very, very good time, as I say, to promote yourself, get yourselves in with fellow suppliers, maybe get different suppliers to blog about you, people that know you to write about their experiences if they've seen you in action, you know, and you can share this on your social medias and on your website, and that way your name will get out there more and more and more.
True, very true. And I've got another comment from Praveen Mystery. Praveen by saying, I'm Praveen Mystery. Nice to hear good information. Thanks. So he's thankful to you for all that good information that you have provided. We've got another gentleman, Guniraj Vyasji. He is saying Namaskar, which is a greeting. So Namaskar, Gunirajji. Then we have, Guniraj is saying so much uncertainty at present. What would you
know what? It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to, you know, I'm just very, very pleased that you've asked me to come here this evening, that you have asked to interview me, and I'm just so glad that I've actually shared my thoughts with you all. You know, any further information, I'm happy to answer for you.
Thank you very much. So hope viewers have enjoyed the conversation we had, and I'm sure we will come back again at some point and discuss further once we have more clarity on rules and regulations. Yeah. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for joining me this evening, and have a very good evening. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, and a very, very God bless to you all. Thank you again. Thank you.